So,
Nice.
our first episode. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Hello.
Everybody meet Coco.
Yes, she does. She never wants to be left alone. So
Gizmo might also join some of our episodes as we go.
yeah,
But you'll see.
but
Ooh.
this is Mrs. Needy. Ooh, hello.
Hello. Okay, so first episode, babe.
Yes, finally, I think we've been asked to do this since last year or the year
Yeah,
before.
we've been
It's
contemplating.
been almost 2 years just trying to see if we actually want to dive into this and if it's something we want to pursue. But I think because of the demand and what we can share from this platform,
Yeah, the need, right?
the need.
You just really want to try and help more people.
Yes.
But we'll get into that in a second, right?
Yes.
But let's dive into that. Like, I know we want to share our story, we want to share how we met and how we got married and stuff. And for those that don't know, and this episode might only be published next weekend, but this weekend, as we're recording this, we're actually celebrating our 12-year wedding anniversary. Right? So for those that don't know,
Yeah.
so this is not just another marriage and relationship podcast. This is backed by 12 years of experience. But babe, I think you should maybe just elaborate, like, what is our intention behind this podcast in general, and then maybe we can share our story after.
I think a lot of the times when we share our story with people, they are completely shocked, number one. I think they are like, what? You got married when you were like 20 years old? And obviously you were a year younger than me, for those who don't know. But just being like, what? 19, 20 years old? Are you guys married for 12 years? It's like they always are completely surprised by it. And
Absolutely.
I think, being married that young, going through a lot of what we went through, especially in our 5th and our 7th year of marriage, just being able to share our experiences, being able to share what we've been through, being able to share with people how to avoid certain things.
Absolutely.
And how to overcome certain things a bit easier than usual. And I think I'm not saying 12 years is like the most years married, but I think for people in our age group, it's a lot of people need this kind of advice because we started off so early. I feel like we're in the game a bit longer than the rest of our peers in this age group. So I think our intention for this podcast is actually to really bring wisdom to people. Just a few topics that will obviously come up in the next few episodes, just on how to deal with. Yeah, I think we're gonna dive into it. There's a lot of stuff, and we're excited to share it, obviously. So from my point of view, I think it's just mostly to share the do's and don'ts. I won't say it's do's and don'ts, but I want to say, like, just to share our hearts and to help people along the journey of this thing called marriage. Yeah.
And it's interesting you mentioned the fact that our peers, because a lot of people that we encounter these days are only like married for 4 years, or they're only getting married now, and we've been married for 12 years, together for 13 years, and we'll elaborate on that shortly. But it's interesting that you mentioned, that our intention is not to show everybody the perfect marriage, but it's the intention of maybe we can share the stuff that we learned along the way, the mistakes that we've made, and hopefully people that get married now and have been married for like, the 4 years or the 2 years or whatever, even 10 years, maybe there's some stuff and golden nuggets that people can gather from our mistakes, and hopefully we can share that.
And I think you and I have always been very open. I pray that this platform will be one of honesty, one of openness, one of just being completely real.
Absolutely.
I think people might learn a lot more about us than we actually...
That they know now.
Yeah, that they actually know. So I am definitely excited for this, and no one better to do it than with you.
Oh, cutie.
Yeah.
And I think also just in the same breath, it's obviously we're building this channel and we want to get the content out and stuff. But I really just want to, while we're not talking to one another, just invite everybody watching, that if they know anybody that could hear and benefit from this, that they can share it with friends and family and stuff. At the end of the day, we want to make content to share with people and the golden nuggets. But if it doesn't get to the right people, so please share it.
Yeah, so share with your family, share with people you guys know that might benefit from these, experiences that we've been through and the advice that we can share. And our main focus is definitely to give godly advice. So one can never go wrong. That is why it's the center of our marriage. Jesus is the center of our marriage, and I'm not ashamed to proclaim that. That is what it's all about. He's the reason why you and I are still together and restored what he did restore. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Exciting times.
Exciting times.
Also important to mention, that our intention is not to really edit this too much. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be as raw and uncut as
As
possible.
uncut as possible. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
I think both of you, both myself and both me and myself, both you, both you and I are very open people. So
absolutely.
we have nothing to hide, nothing to edit, nothing to cut out.
Yeah.
So I think people relate more to that in any way. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. So who's gonna start with the story, how we met and stuff? What do you wanna? Do you wanna start, ladies first?
So I'll start. I'll start obviously because we all know that you are the detail person.
Okay, so you wanna lay the
So
foundation.
I'll just lay the foundation, and you will come and fill in like the rest of the story.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so I obviously grew up as a pastor's kid. Been serving in my parents' church for actually since I was a little girl. I think I started leading worship in my parents' church at the age of 12, and I've always loved God very, very much. I truly actually made my full-on decision to follow Christ 2010.
Nice.
I remember that so vividly. We were sitting at home and we were having prayer time as a family, and my dad asked the question, do each of us have a living relationship with God? And it's a question that I had to answer myself because obviously I grew up, with that as my background and never truly made the decision for myself. And I remember just asking God, God, if you are real and I want to experience what my parents have been feeling all this time because they're so passionate about it, just seeing that and asking God for him to reveal himself to me. And that's exactly what God did. And I've been growing my relationship, with him since that day. But not too much about that. We'll still get into all of that. But so in school, I've never really been open to the dating pool. I just feel like at that point I was a very shy person, very all to myself. I didn't want to get involved in relationships, and there'd obviously be a few guys, especially in high school, especially when I turned, let's say 16, 17, when I really found that, guys were a bit more interested, and, I would get these like messages. At that time it was BlackBerry or
Yeah, BBM
it was,
and mix it
yes,
and whatnot.
yeah, it was all Mix It and BBM. Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember just going through school and people having this whole idea of me, don't even try Kayla. She's like one of those difficult girls. Like bro, you won't stand a chance. Just leave her alone.
Yeah.
And I think I had one boyfriend in my whole entire high school life, and I just remember like going through that, and I was like, wow, I don't really think people understand the depth of being in a relationship with someone. I think for me, I obviously stepped into it not knowing that I wasn't really ready for it, and I ended up obviously, feelings were hurt, and to this day, it's like something that I always want to like, tell people, just to make sure before you really go into a relationship with someone, before you declare it a
Yeah.
relationship, and really,
Because not to break a word, but
yes,
I mean, it's important to know that it can go both ways. It could either be your spouse, your future spouse, or it could be someone else's future spouse, and in that whole process, you can actually be hurting their feelings and damaging them in a sense
yeah,
that could really cause them to carry baggage around into their next relationship and make it
yes,
harder for their
yes,
actual spouse to actually,
yes.
break through
True.
and
And
get
for
healing.
me, because of the maturity I grew up in and understanding that life is more spiritual, I definitely think that I took it way more seriously than any other 16-year-old, 17-year-old would have taken it. For me, I remember going through that and breaking someone's heart and seeing how it shattered them really made me feel, God, this is not what I want to do to people. This is not who I am. And from there on out, I made a vow to God to say, you know what, God, I am not going to just be dating because, there's this feeling you feel and, oh, you like this person. I want to date with intention. And I remember when I just met you, I think it was one of the first things I told you, before obviously we share the whole story of how we met, but just
Yeah.
I remember telling you that, listen, I don't date just for dating, I date for marriage, I date with intention. And I can just imagine you being as
Yeah.
young as you were, like, this girl, bro, is like so
Next level.
intense, next level. But yeah, so when that happened, obviously, I just kind of kept away from it. And I remember, so how you and I actually met was in school. We were in high school together. And we actually, I attended the Wednesday morning prayer groups. And I always
That's
used to
cool.
see you there. And I remember, oh, okay, cool. This is JD. Like, I know he is. Okay, cool. Was it obviously a year younger than I am, so we're not really, in the same.
Attending the prayer
Yeah,
group.
yeah, all
Tick.
those. No, well, I didn't tick boxes then because I wasn't really interested in ticking any
Yeah.
boxes. But I just remember, like, okay, cool. I know this guy. Okay, whatever. And I actually want you to fill in the rest of that story because I feel
Okay.
like you were actually the one who actually noticed me first,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, so I think,
Must I carry on? So just context to that. So there was this other guy. He was our head boy at the time. He actually started that prayer group at school, and then like when he matriculated, he asked me to carry on with it, and then you actually came, throughout those 2 years, and I always remember the way that you prayed because like everybody had a chance to pray for a few
yeah,
seconds, and when Kayla started praying, you could really hear, that you're spiritually mature, and it was really nice to hear you pray. And that was always something that I admired a lot. And I was grade 10 at the time,
yeah,
when that happened. But you're obviously a year older than me, so like when I was grade 11, you were matric, still carried on with the prayer group and stuff. But like you said, with the BBM at the time, I actually started speaking to your mom because, like, my friends and I had a separate prayer group, I think on a Tuesday morning. I can't remember the exact day.
oh, nice,
But my friend's mom, who was a good friend of your mom at the time, actually connected your mom and I. I'm saying your mom, so just so the audience can know, context, whose mom is whose mom and whatnot.
yes,
Um, and then I started speaking to your mom on BBM, like with scriptural stuff, spiritual questions. Just that was the intention. My friend's mom said, speak to Pastor Ingrid if you've got questions, if have, if you want to just talk stuff through. And that's where that started. And then when you were matric, you walked home one afternoon. Both of us, for whatever reason,
yeah, I remember that
yeah.
day.
And just context, which is important, through peer pressure, because like when I was grade 10, grade 11-ish, I went through like 2 weeks where I was very intentional to fit in. And in those 2 weeks, I sort of wanted to prove a point to myself to say that, JD can actually fit in with the crowd in a sense, the, not the famous crowd, but like the popular
The popular
crowd.
crowd, yeah.
And for 2 weeks, I actually managed to fit in. I went to the parties, I was in the circles and all of those things, but it was really tiring because I felt that I'm compromising myself to try and fit in with whatever scenario was presented on the day. And there was one day after that, because I made a decision after I was still standing in that friend of mine's yard and I walked out towards, going home. And I decided that I don't want to ever be confronted by a friend or by a girlfriend or whatever saying that, JD, you're one person in front of your friends and you're another person when I'm with you. And I just decided that I'm going to be, that consistent
Yourself,
person. I
yes.
want to be the same person in front of you, in front of my parents, in front of my friends.
That's such a beautiful attribute to carry because we've been together for 13 years, married 12 of those 13 years. And like, I have to say, you've been absolutely consistent. So I actually see how you've literally said to yourself, like, I'm going to be consistently myself all my
Yeah.
life. And that's like one of the most beautiful like characteristics that I love about you.
Thanks, baby.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to like
Yeah.
chuck it in there.
I appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
So that really played a big role because right after that, we spoke about BBM, spoke to your mom. I think I started speaking to you literally like only the year after, but I'm just mentioning this to say
Yeah.
that I had you on Mix It. I think I had your mom on BBM, and then you walked home. We both, walked in the same direction, but we stayed after school. So everybody else was already
Yes.
on their way.
I can't even remember what I had on. I think we had like a RCL
Yeah,
meeting.
you had your, yeah,
Yeah.
because you still had your RCL attire on, your green,
You would
everything.
remember.
Of course,
You-
So now, and that's, if you look back at it, that's how God intended it, because I mean, you could have went home 10 minutes after or 10 minutes before me, and then we would have missed each other, but God knew.
Yeah.
But then you walked home, and I shortly followed, and I saw you walking in front of me on this open field, towards the gate. And I
What
just
a
said,
sight.
yeah, and my intention was just to say that I don't want to ever be able to speak to you on Mixer, but not be able to speak to you in person. So I told myself, no, I'm just gonna call you over and I'm gonna talk to you and let's see just where it goes. And
Yeah.
for the audience, mom knows that she was sitting because your house was literally just across the street from the gate that you were heading towards.
Yes.
And
Fun
and
times.
exactly. And mom was actually, and she would still say it up until today, that she was sitting at the window looking out for you now to see, when you're coming home. And she would say that she asked God that day.
Because she saw us obviously walking together.
Yeah, and she must now knew me from
Oh,
speaking about,
yes, because she knew
spiritual
who
stuff.
you
And,
were. Yeah.
and then she asked God to say, but what's the chances that, that JD would, like you,
For example.
Yeah, and little did she know, a year later when I was matric, obviously there's some stuff that I'll discuss in a second,
Yeah.
but when I was matric, then you and I really started speaking a lot, with my matric farewell and whatnot, and
Yes.
I
So
s-
by that time, I already like left school.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
still had to complete your matric year.
matric, yeah,
And I remember there was a stage that we actually lost contact,
yeah.
that we didn't speak to one another for quite some time.
Yeah, so it was only like towards the end of the year, my matric farewell-ish there, where we started,
Yeah.
talking about stuff, and after that, I was still writing my matric exams. I was in a separate church than your church, your
Yes.
mom's church, and your mom and dad and stuff.
Yeah.
And we had one weekend off, like we never got off because I was in the worship team. So when we got off this one Sunday, I decided to go visit your church, your mom and dad's church. And then I was sitting at the back. And then still remember dad was still pointing me out there and say, yeah, no, I think he was talking about David and Goliath or something. And then he's like, yeah, no, as big as JD that's sitting over there.
I remember I was so surprised. Like, I didn't
And
think.
even me, I was like,
You
oh, I'm
know.
not that big, but thank you so
Yeah.
much,
But
Pastor.
actually, the reason why you came to visit our church is obviously you guys were also in a worship team, and we
Absolutely.
had our worship team going at my parents' church. And I'm not sure who told you guys about the worship leader that was leading
Yeah,
worship at our, at my parents'
and he was very
church.
talented. Like,
And extremely, wow,
yeah,
that guy was insanely good. And so you actually wanted to come and,
yeah, just check it
just
out.
learn a few things and come and check it out. And
Yeah,
obviously, I was there.
of course, the main attraction, main attraction.
Yeah.
So I came to that service, and like you also mentioned earlier, to say that everybody in school was also like, Kayla is this, don't go for Kayla because she's not really into relationships and stuff like that. And obviously, I was also under that impression, but I'm now, I'm exploring this,
Yeah.
And I came to the service. I have to be honest, like, when I came to the service, that was not my intention to sort of really pursue it in that sense. But after, like, towards the end of the service, there was a moment where I like saw you sitting in front, in the front aisle, the pastor's
Yes.
family, and dad
Pastor's
was,
family's in front, and
yeah.
my dad just finished his preaching, and I was like, oh, well
Yeah,
done,
I know.
Dad.
In
And
actual fact, he was scratching his back. Yeah,
oh
he was
yeah,
like
I was
sitting, he was
like,
scratching
Dad,
his
well
back.
done. And you were looking like from the
Yeah,
back, looking at all this go down in front, and
yeah.
yeah.
So I had this moment where I like asked myself the question of like, because then I saw myself sort of pursuing a future with you in a sense, asking
Do you want to say
myself,
that's like your God moment that
that was
like
no, it was a
that
special
is your
moment.
wife?
That was a
That
special
is your
moment.
guys.
Yeah.
Like at that age, wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I know I asked myself the question, actually, like indirectly, I asked God, I'm like, Lord, what's the chances that Kayla, knowing that you're pastor family, like the pastoral family there, and you'll always probably be sitting in front. Now I'm asking myself the question, like, Lord, what's the chances that Kayla will come and sit next to me and scratch my back like that? You know?
Yeah.
And I still remember after that service, I came to say hi, and because I never come to the service, and I came to say hello, and you still gave me this, this typical church side hug,
Great.
you know.
Hello, my brother.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, okay, I mean, this is new, but I
Yeah.
mean, I could understand, and I think that's also a thing that I don't want to say fueled me in a sense, but I also said that this is the type of girl that I would like to pursue, that knows her boundaries, that knows what she wants, and that obviously that one special person that you choose would not get the side hug anymore, I
No,
wanted to be
yeah.
that
You
person.
wanted to be the person who would like make me vulnerable and
Exactly,
like
cuddle
this is
up
now
to, you
mine.
see.
Yeah.
And just leading up to, like, after that, like, still keeping in mind that I was writing my matric exams,
Yep.
there was 3 times in that week. I think it was the Tuesday was the first. I asked if I could come and drink coffee at your house because you were like 2 kilometers away from where I stayed. And I asked you for coffee, and you were like, no, I have plans. I can't really do coffee. I'm like, okay, no, I hear you.
Bruh.
I think the Wednesday I asked again, you said
Yeah.
no again, and then on the Thursday you said
Ugh.
yes.
Yeah.
And like you also mentioned on the details, I don't want to bog the audience down too much, but
Yeah.
and then you said no twice. The Thursday you said yes, and we only later found out from Maylene, that was your older sister,
Yes.
that you just said yes to get me off of your back. And after that, I asked you if your dad has a guitar, played the song,
Yes.
and then I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yes, yes. So,
Okay,
so obviously, I said
Nina
no
playing guitar.
twice,
Yeah.
like how you mentioned, and I think the third time was like, okay, you know what, the guy's not gonna bite me. Like, obviously, I'm shy,
Yet.
but you know what? Oh my goodness, I love it.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I was just like, you know what? Let me just say yes, and then we get it over with. Because then, if you see like, okay, wait, I'm gonna probably, because I'm very stiff, I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna scare you away. Like, it's not gonna work. And actually, the complete opposite happened. I remember you coming at that stage. My parents obviously fostered a few people, that came to stay with us.
You were
And
14 in the
I
house
think we
at
were
the time.
14 people in the house, yes. And I remember you asked for coffee and you were like, I'll come over and everything. And so this guy walks in and I see like a 2 liter milk
Yeah,
and like a whole like box of that Nescafe cappuccino sachets that just came out in
yeah.
that year. And it was like, I was like, my guy, do you think we don't have milk and coffee? Like, you don't think like my parents actually have?
Yeah.
So, but I think your explanation was so beautiful to say, what, you guys, well, I obviously told you about all the people in the house and, with everything that, happened then.
If my dad sees this episode, I need to give him credit, because he's the one that said that,
Yes.
take coffee, take milk.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people, so don't be rude.
Yeah.
So I have to say, my dad had a lot to
Yeah.
do with that.
I remember, obviously, because I'm such a shy person, like you came there and you're like, okay, let's have some coffee. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to drink any coffee.
You were just making for
I
me, I
just like,
remember.
I just made coffee for you and I stood there and I was like, okay, if I'm not interested in the guy, why am I so shy around the guy? Like, what am I doing? And yeah, it was just because I was shy. I was scared like I'd make a fool of myself. It's like, why am I trying so hard to be like absolutely perfect?
Perfect.
And not knowing you're like the most down to earth, real person, as you said, the most consistent person I know.
Yeah.
And I remember that coffee was the first of many. And I remember you mentioned the guitar, and so obviously my dad plays the guitar. You also play the guitar, the acoustic guitar in your church, and you can play a little bit of electric guitar as well. But I remember, the guitar was there, and you're like, "Hey, whose guitar is that? Is that your dad's guitar? Like, can you play like a song or two for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I don't think my dad would mind at all." And this guy starts off. He was definitely serenading me. Looking back now, you are so smooth. So he plays Bruno Mars just the way you are.
I know, such a high song to sing.
The thing is, like, you have such a beautiful voice. Like, I actually love your voice.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let you sing for the audience one day. But I remember, you going into that and I was like, oh, well done, that's a really beautiful song. And you, like, the butterflies started creeping up in my stomach. I was like, no, 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 no. What is this? Get away from me, Satan. No, no, no.
Not now.
And I remember from there, you just started playing a few worship songs, and there we were, and we were singing songs like "How Great Is Our God," coming back to the heart of worship.
Golden oldies.
All the golden oldies that still carry such an anointing. And I just remember in that time, just looking at you, just singing your heart out, worshiping your heart out, and I was like, God, this is my husband.
So.
Like, because I've always said I want someone like my dad. And in that moment, you remind me so much of my dad. Like, this is this gentle person, like, just worshiping God, yeah.
It was
Can
good
you see the stars in my eyes?
I see you. I see you. And then just for context, like right after that, so like you said, we had a few coffees after that. I think that was the Thursday. Your dad went to East London.
Yes.
That's that Friday or
I think
something.
it was the Friday, yeah.
I couldn't take him. He still asked me if I could take him to the airport. I really regretted not having my license at that point in time, because that would have been
But you were
amazing.
still going to get it though.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been really cool to
Yeah.
take your dad. But then he went to East London, and then I think the Tuesday, that was not the Thursday, that he was not drank coffee. The Tuesday after that, then you dropped that bomb of saying, that if you're asking permission,
Yeah.
you need to know that, if you ask my dad's permission to court me, and we'll talk about courting in one of the episodes, but if you want to court me and ask my dad's permission, you need to know that we are going to have to get married, because I'm not just going to go into this just by the way. And
Yeah.
in a context, I was still writing my matric exams. You were done with matric, so it was a really big
A
sort
really
of,
big bomb
yeah,
that I
to
dropped on
chew
you.
on. But
But
also,
yeah.
it was short-lived in the sense that it intimidated me not for a very long time. So, oftentimes in relationships, with me having a few relationships in my sort of high school, not a lot, like 2 or 3, not a lot. But you often find yourself before going into a relationship weighing up the pros and cons. This is nice, this isn't nice. Can I live with this? Can I not live with it? And with you, it was totally different. And that's how I knew this was like God ordained, because I didn't weigh up any pros and cons. I just knew for a fact, this is the relationship that I want to
Yeah.
pursue. So just as quickly as you dropped the bomb, sort of was how quickly I got over it and said no, but like I'm committing to this.
Yeah.
And like you also mentioned, like, and this is just context, that my only prerequisite for the wife that I wanted was for her to have an amazing relationship with Christ, and that was Kayla defined, so that's just, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the Tuesday, and then your dad came back the Saturday. But obviously, mom and dad were already talking to one another, saying, there's this guy, JD is talking to Kayla. They're already holding hands. Just prep yourself. They're probably gonna ask you some questions and whatnot. And I still remember the family decorated a table there in the lounge. There was like candles, and it was really nice. Made dinner. And then there was one point in time that we like sat in the other smaller lounge that you guys had in the house, and spoke to mom and dad, and officially, like, old school. So guys, if you're looking at this,
Yes.
don't DM the girls, don't speak to the fathers in person,
Yes. When you guys get
mom and
really
dad.
serious about a relationship, please make sure to include
Yeah,
with respect, like,
the
the
parents.
parents.
Absolutely. So we
Yeah.
spoke to mom and dad. They had their questions, but we spoke about it, and mom and dad gave their permission, and that was the 20th of October, 2012. So that's why we're recording this on the
The
18th,
18th,
right?
yes.
But now the 19th is always our wedding anniversary. The 20th is sort of our together anniversary.
Yes, the day that you actually asked me to be your
Yeah, and we
girlfriend.
wanted to get married on the 20th again, but that fell on a Sunday, so that's
Yes, yeah, because we wanted to get married just a year later on the same date that you asked me out. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember.
So I think for today, I think that's pretty much everything in a nutshell, right? I think there's some parts of this that we can elaborate on, everything that happened, even our testimony, getting married from asking your mom and dad's
Yes,
permission,
yes.
everything that happened up to our wedding day, God coming through. And I think we should discuss that in a different episode, because there's a lot to
Yeah,
unpack there and a lot of testimonies to talk about.
yes.
But that's, I think, pretty much. Is there anything else I missed, maybe?
No, I think if we obviously have to go into every single detail, we'll be here for the next 4 years.
Yeah, no, it's gonna take a while.
Because God has really done such a specific, special work in our marriage. And
Absolutely.
just looking back, thinking, these two extremely young people, and looking at it now, obviously, people that age are still really finding themselves. And, I'll never say to someone, oh, you're too young to get married, but I do think the way that we view the generation that we see now, I
Yeah.
don't think it's a very good idea until you are truly certain that it's from God, and to give yourself that space to find yourself. Because I, from a very young age, decided what I want, how I wanted to be. And because I've walked with Jesus, I've always known, like, these are the signs I look out for.
Absolutely.
And with you, it was easy. I mean, even being in school for that short, like 2 years together, going to prayer walk together, just seeing how you follow Christ. And then obviously my mom having the background of who you are, that this is really a guy
Dad
that's
would always
pursuing.
say, I knew my way in, work through the mom.
Yes,
which is not entirely true. I didn't necessarily, it wasn't my intention to say, yeah, I'm going to target mom and work
Yeah,
through there. But
yeah, that was really just from a place of trying to get spiritual input and everything.
absolutely.
So I think that already counted a lot in your,
Favor.
yeah,
Yeah,
because that actually made me realize, okay, it is someone that wants to pursue Christ and is someone that wants to grow and it is someone, and then just seeing you worship God was that last like confirmation.
cherry on
And
top, right?
yeah, not everyone gets that opportunity to meet someone in that way. So yeah, I think definitely one of the things that we should pray for is people who are looking for their spouse and looking for their best friend and praying for that same kind of clarity and that same kind of favor, and that God would really give them the grace to experience what we have.
Absolutely.
And obviously it wasn't easy, but that's in more episodes to come.
Yeah.
We've been through our fair share, but it's definitely built to where we are today.
Solid foundation, really.
Solid foundation. And Jesus is the center. He will
Absolutely.
always be the center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we missed anything. So that's technically how we met, and yeah, that is just the beginning of our story.
Yeah. And happy to explore it in more episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you, babe. I really honor you just for also sticking it out with me. And, it's not always perfect. You grow as a person, especially I think after high school, there's some phases that you work through. And there's, we've got family, you've got friends,
Yeah.
so many things that play a role. And, one makes mistakes. And it's how because there's one thing, and we can unpack that in another episode, but as a married couple, you have your friends and you've got family, but at the end of the day, that it's only you two that needs to have, like you and I, that need to have one another's back, and not 99%, 100%. And I
Yes.
think if the couples that are listening to this actually catch that,
Yeah.
it's a big revelation to carry from this episode, even just to say that,
Yes.
even my spouse might not be perfect, but I came into a covenant with them, and because of that, I need to have their back. Because
Yes.
there's one thing that you also, if somebody, a friend or family member spoke negatively about me, and even the other way around, when somebody spoke negative about you, we always corrected them, not agreed with them, we corrected them, because it's important that we have each other's back, right? So I just wanted to say really thank you for sticking it out, and for growing with me, and it's really been a pleasure and an honor to be your husband.
Thank you.
And I mean, it's our wedding anniversary weekend, so
So I think we feel a little bit more in love than usual,
yeah,
but I am quite really incredibly, insanely, immensely in love with you, more
cutie.
than ever. So I'm thanking God that it's only grown stronger and stronger. And yeah, thank you for being consistent, like I said, for showing me what it feels to have a safe space that is a constant safe space. And I think I joked with you a few days ago where I said, it's so amazing that I can always be my complete silly self with you.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like if people have to see me like 24/7 in that kind of silly version, they'll be like, this girl is like
lost
crazy.
it. Yeah,
Like, but like you actually bring that best, like that amazing,
authentic
like,
self. Yeah,
not that I'm, faking it in front of other people. It's just
yeah.
like this, like you just draw that out of me
I
because like
love that.
you are completely yourself, which makes me feel I can be completely myself. So yeah, thank
Love
you,
that.
and thank you for those listening. And like we are excited to continue this journey and continue these type of settings where we can just share our hearts and
Absolutely.
experiences. And yeah,
I think
this
it's
is,
like ending off. I really think it's for those that are still listening, after all this time. I can assume that they probably got something out of it. So,
yeah,
if they're listening, please like and subscribe. It's always so cringy to ask, but
bing.
but this is really just to get the word out, and just to make sure that we can possibly get the opportunity to maybe speak to more people,
Yeah.
because our ultimate intention is that, God took us this far, and we just want to help more married couples or just couples in general that are in
Or even
relationships.
people who are still looking for their spouse, or people
Yeah,
who are trusting God to get these things in place before you even make that big decision on who you'll be marrying one day.
yeah, what to look out for,
This is not only just for couples, but I feel like God is definitely using it for people in all areas of their lives, like
that
that
is
want to take
important.
that step and go forward.
Thank you, babe. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your time today.
Wrapping up, and then we'll hit the
Yeah.
next topic. So join us for the next one whenever it's out. I don't know.
Yes, thank you for listening, guys.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you, baby.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
Yay.